So if you could go back 20 years, what would your past self think about what you're doing today?
Ooh. I am amazed every single time I reach my goals because I have continuously had to set new goals my whole life. So, 20 years past, I would be like, okay, you should be a little further than you are now, but you're doing good. You're
Yeah.
doing the things that you set out to do, and it's so funny to look back at my old notebooks.
Mm.
I don't know how much you keep stuff, but I keep stuff. So I think my first mission statement was to create a platform of commerce for those in the hair, beauty, and fashion industry. And that's because I didn't have a platform. I had to create a lane for myself. So I am so Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
This is my city. I claim full ownership because I really had my way here. And I'm just so thankful. I know it has a lot to do with where you're born these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? So
It
that's
totally
number one.
does.
I have no control over that, but I greatly benefit from it if I'm open to tapping into the resources, and we are resource rich.
Mm-hmm.
When
So,
did you set those goals?
well, I had my first child at 17, so I had to have a plan to take care of him. And, back then, nobody would hire you if you didn't have a degree or years of experience. So self employment was the only opportunity available to me. I always would work like a part time job to get benefits for my kids, but, being an entrepreneur is how I fed them.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to create the vision, and opening more doors was part of it. So whatever door I got through, you know what I'm saying? I always wanted to gain knowledge and bring it back to my village.
Mm.
So I always wanted to create jobs for my kids and for my peers' children as well. And I've strategically taken jobs and gained skills on purpose to be qualified to do all the things. And so my long-term goal was to be a philanthropist. And as a child, that's kind of crazy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
my dream was to have like a custom-made business suit, like as a
Yeah.
child, right? Because I got a lot of hand-me-downs, so I
Yeah.
wanted something fit just for me. And, being the boss was just going to be the icing on the cake. So that means I had to learn all the roles to be the boss effectively
Yep.
and lead and be able to delegate and put other people on is something the young people say. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the joy is in achieving the goal and then helping somebody else understand that joy. Because if you reach your goals once, you're like, oh, I can do it again.
Wow.
So yeah, I never really quite figured out how to self motivate my children, but I can work on my motivation and let that motivate them.
So 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard path.
Yeah, I don't recommend it for the weak.
I'm thinking, my wife was 20 when we had our first, and I always feel like we were kids who were having kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, you do the thing that everybody does later first, and then after having kids, it's like, okay, now let's go to college and figure out what we're going to do. And that was
Oh
so
yeah.
backwards. I'm wondering how that affected you, kind of starting out that way.
Well, I mean, I was in a unique position. I had a lot of responsibility as a child. I took a lot out of my own personal growing up to help raise my sisters. So you're like, bam, you're the boss. So
Mm-hmm.
what are you gonna do? So I thought I was more mature than I was, of course, right?
Right.
And without the proper grooming, you think it's a good idea to have your kids at 17 because I
Mm-hmm.
mean my mom had me at 17. So she did a pretty good job, if I can say so myself. It was a lot of sacrifice, but I wanted them to all be 18 and over when I was 40. That was my plan. So I had to strategically figure it out. And I truly didn't think they would care if I was in college or at work or wherever. They're at daycare.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
as long as I provide the positive memories, like that was my focus. Of course, you want to do better than your parents did, right? So, I was a latchkey kid, so I wanted to be there, because my mom was always working on the other side of town at that. We didn't have all the Ubers and Lyfts. Like if the bus stopped running, you just weren't getting anywhere. And if somebody was on the phone, you didn't get through.
Right.
That was just
Yeah.
how we grew up, right? And so, yeah, I wanted to be here for the Jetsons era. I'm here for all the technology, all the tech that the kids are generating. I'm here for it all. I'm a whole grandma now. So I
Wow.
love all the baby warmers and the white warmers, and yes, let's do it all. It's so fun being on this side.
The
You're-
tech is
It
here.
really is.
The tech is here.
Yeah.
But you're too young to be a grandma.
I am. I really, and my middle child did that to me. Blame it on him. But I wasn't happy at first, and I talked to other people, that are not ready to be grandparents either, and it's like, you know what? That's the only way my bloodline is going to continue. So how dare me have a say in when it happens? Because I'm just a grandma after all. I don't have any rights. The parents still have to teach this child everything,
Yeah.
right? So I did my part.
Yeah. I think as grandparents, we get cause I have two grandkids, but I think you get some privileges that mom and dad don't get.
Oh yeah. Well, my grandson is currently living in Atlanta. So I have to travel to see him, but we had the best time. I went and spent a week with him, and then went to the hair show that weekend. So I made it, that's how you do it. Effectively manage my time. I made it a business personal trip. But we had such a blast. I mean, I've never had the middle of the day with nothing to do and just 1-year-old to hang out with. It was amazing. I'm like,
That's
how do
pretty
people
cool.
work and do this? I forgot everything. Like my youngest is 23. You
Wow.
know, so yes, parenting is a ride, but oh man, your kids are your best investment of your time, your money, your energy, like all the things. And the way I really narrow it down is I want to be a big mama. And people don't really understand that word because they don't have the references all the time,
Yeah.
But when I grew up, nobody was at home when I got off of school, so I was always welcome at the Cheatham's house, and their grandma was referred to as Big Mama.
The big mama.
She was Big
Okay.
Mama. Like,
I
that
love
was
that.
everything. I wanted to have a big family. You just can't really afford it now, because of how much stuff costs. But having a house full of people and a pot of food on the stove, and you're welcome to have some as long as her granddad ate first, like that lifestyle is perfect, right? That's what more people need.
Yeah.
So, I like to be that for my generation. I'm a young elder now because I'll be 46 on Monday.
Wow.
And I feel like
Congratulations.
I'm half retired now. As hard as I used to have to go dragging kids across town, and somebody's late because they're cleat, and that's your emergency
Their
now,
cleat.
and
Their
all
shin
the
guard.
things. Like, that was my life for a long time, but it seems like it was so long ago now.
Well, you got a lot of life left to live, too.
Yeah, it's exciting. Like, I'm going to Canada for my birthday and just do whatever I want. I've never had the freedom to live, like that. So,
That's
And-
well earned.
yeah, thank you.
Are you the big mama now?
I am. I mean, I look after a lot of people's best interests in personal, work life, all the things. And I tease my family because, I tell them, you're going to miss me when I'm gone, okay? I'm going to make sure I'm just that good to you that, so it's great.
I love
All right.
that.
In an interview several years ago, you said, I don't really think anyone's like me.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Well, the grit that's required to open doors and leave them open for other people in Seattle, Washington can be very trying on you. And I love the challenge of it. Even when it comes to my passion, hobby, trade, doing hair. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like to do it all the time, but I do like the challenge of certain projects. So it excites me to keep growing and
Yeah.
pushing my own skill sets, you know?
Yeah. You keep kind of referring to legacy too. So it's not just about that door you're opening for yourself,
Yeah.
but leaving it open for the people, you know, that come after you. And I want to dig a little bit into Seattle because you've mentioned it being harder
Yeah.
in Seattle. Why do you say that?
Well, oftentimes there's no one in the room that looks like me,
That's right.
you know?
Yeah.
Oftentimes. And I'm just so thankful because of the opportunities that I've had to be myself and be accepted.
Yeah.
Like that is like no other. You know, the opportunities that I've been able to provide my children because of our location in Seattle, Washington is like night and day compared to if they grew up with their dad. You know, and I thrive in that environment, you know, and I want it to be contagious. Like,
Yeah.
if I can do it, you can do it. Like, I remember sitting in the DSHS office asking them to pay my tuition for my first quarter of beauty school and being told that was a declining industry.
They're judging you from.
Oops. That was the wrong call.
So I was just like, okay, I'll make sure I'll never be in this position again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because that is just, it's so ridiculous to understand what people have to go through just to prove their value, you know? And so a lot of times, you know, I'm the smallest in the room too, you know what I mean? And so, and a lot of the fields that pique my interest are male dominated, you know? So even now, as I tap into the built environment a little bit, because I think the housing industry can be done better. And now that things are being built in factories, I can be the boss. I don't have to build it myself.
Yeah.
So I would love to dabble into development as well as philanthropy, you know, because I've raised a generation. I understand the importance of taking care of your elders, and that's a big priority for me, to take care of the youth and the elders, because that is your job when you're in the middle.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, building that casita or that ADU, anticipating common areas and spaces where a multi-generational family can really thrive is that village concept that more people need to be introduced to. Okay, you take care of your people and it comes back to you. So
That's very not like Seattle, but I think it's valuable.
yeah, you know, I knew I was a little different back in the day, so I'm just being here on purpose.
It's interesting because I feel like it's not Seattle, but it's also just not this generation. Because I remember my grandparents and their kids living together for a lot longer, and the grandkids. You know, my dad's from Pittsburgh, my mom's from Boston. Pittsburgh, that it was more of the, you know, grandparents, kids, and grandkids all kind of together close by, and I loved visiting. I'm from LA, so I would go every summer and visit my dad's family on the East Coast, and it was a different concept, but there was so much love and there was so much wisdom being shared and joy, you know, being given back. But so I wonder, I mean, why do you guys think we've lost that? Or like, you know, I'm in my 30s. Like, why has my generation lost that?
Well, I can't speak for the whole generation. I can only speak for what I see in my city, because every city's different, you know, like, you know, the cost of living here is completely different from, you know, Atlanta or South Carolina. And I have family in both of those places. So
no, it's outrageous here. For anybody who's listening and wondering, well, how bad is it in Seattle? It's bad. People from LA come up here and they go, that's a lot of money. I mean,
that's comparable.
You wonder why I'm so thankful to have reached this point living here.
Right.
Because I can remember back when I grew up in the Madrona neighborhood in the CD, you know, the Central District of Seattle. And I just enjoyed having friends close by. I didn't know the history, and that, you know, African Americans could typically only buy property in that area. So that's why we were all there. Right. But we had 3 houses on the block. So we played kickball and double dutch. And I had parks and beaches within walking distance on both sides. Like growing up here was great, but now who owns that big house that everybody comes to on the holidays? How many families still get together like that, you know? And that was before COVID. COVID broke my heart
Yeah.
because it just divided people in more ways than they could afford, you know, prolonged surgeries and just, you know, not having people experience hugs. You know, a lot of times people just act up because they need a hug.
Yeah.
You know, young and old. Okay. So, you know, people think that it's okay to just be in your house as long as you got Wi-Fi. So
Yeah.
I hope folks still get together. I don't know what people do on the East Coast, but you know, that memory of being in a big house full of multiple generations and a whole bunch of cousins,
Yeah.
you know, that was a Seattle thing. My mom said, you ain't related to everybody here, but when you
Yeah.
grow up with people that look out for you, you know, and you're raised as family, that's your cousin.
Yep. Whether or not you're blood related.
So I would go out of my way on the holidays to make sure my kids saw my dad's side of the family, my mom's side of the family, their dad's side of the family. And, you know, that was me putting forth that effort to give them something that I wanted them to really
So
have.
valuable. I mean, they probably hated it at the time.
No, they didn't give me a hard time. He was just cussed out for being late everywhere. So we're coming. Are you coming? Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Even now, like I make sure I make it over to my aunt's house,
Yeah.
and my kids came too, which the two that are here in Seattle, and that was just so special. Like my aunts are in their 70s now, like, and we're talking about heavy hitters that have really contributed to Seattle. So I get why I'm the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned doing stuff with builders.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know you that well, but just listening, I'll bet you already have a plan.
Yeah, well, you know, see, it's funny about me. I've had to have this extremely strategic effort my whole life. So that means having 5 different projects going at the same time, because this one's going to take 5 years, this one's going to take 3, this one may not pan out, and vice versa. So, you know, I've been doing internships, I've been doing independent projects, I've been sitting in on panels. I even went back to school just to do the building tune-up at the VNU shelter that we have. You know, all the buildings that are over like 50,000 square feet are going to be required to do building tune-ups. And I see why now. Since I was a project manager, it's really important to go through and make sure all the equipment is functioning as it should, right? So, yeah, see, I nerd out on stuff like that. It just happens to be a lucrative field, and that is the way that the world is going, is they're electrifying the built environment. And so I wanted to be someone that would understand how to communicate with the stakeholders and bring that information back to my community. So during COVID, when I had to close down the Molly Moon location that I was managing, I went back to school. I said, there's no way I'm going to sit at home and not be productive.
Molly Moon that closed.
Well, we closed all the locations during COVID. Yeah. It was.
Are any back up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They pivoted to the grocery store business model, and with the support of the community, survives.
Good.
And now with delivery and all the things, yeah, it's a great company to work for. I'm just thankful I was able to do all the things that I wanted to do working with them while I was there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You didn't turtle during COVID. You know, that's similar to how we felt about it when everybody was gone from the building and it was me and Ken here opening the mail. Like, what are we gonna do? Like,
right,
what
y'all
do
got
we
2
do?
floors, like,
yeah, like straight up, we need to figure out how to scan the mail, how to distribute that mail. It was a really humbling experience, but it was like, okay, this is an opportunity to stop and go backwards, or to get creative and move forwards. And I'd like to think that we did the latter. We got a little crazy and changed our whole structure and got more intentional and clear on our vision and stuff like that. And it became something I think we weren't before COVID.
Yeah.
Just got to know where you're going if you're going to get there, right?
If you want to succeed in business, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got to take the time to figure out what it is you want
Yeah.
and why. And does that connect to who you are personally? Because if it doesn't, it's not sustainable and it probably won't pan out.
Yeah. They say
So,
you got to fall in love with the problem that you're solving. You
oh,
know?
I like that.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah. It's got to be your world and you got to master it. Like, I would totally do hair for free. That could be like my ministry thing because I'm going to build into you the whole time you're sitting in my chair. Like, what are you doing? What's your interest? You know, because a lot of people's natural talents really can carry them in this life, you know, where you can be an independent contractor and really, really, really set your own lane. Like, I created a lane for myself because one didn't exist, you know, but I knew both civilian people needed their hair done and the corporate America needed their hair done. So I just dibbled a little.
So
back
you
and
were
forth.
about 12 when you started doing hair? All right. How did that start? What did the beginning look like?
Well, the beginning looked like me asking my little sister Shonda to teach me how to braid because she knew how to braid, and that just wasn't gonna work for me. So
you're younger, you can't know more.
We gotta figure this out right here. And I think it was like on the stairs. I remember sitting there on the stairs with her, and my little sister taught me how to braid, and she never went to beauty school, but she ended up having a pretty large clientele of just people in the neighborhood, even celebrity clients. Like, she gave me my first celebrity client because she wasn't available one day. So it's just amazing. Hair has really taken care of me. But yeah, I started braiding people's hair on the porch when I had to babysit my sisters. I couldn't leave the house, and you can't come in, but I could do your hair on the porch.
You must have been good.
Yeah. Yes, I can still remember my mom saying, "That's so country."
You're like, thank you.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
I will take it all the way to the bank.
First celebrity client. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, at the time, you know, in Seattle, it's really who you know. That's why I love this place. When you know all the right people, you got action. So she was asked to do his hair because that was her thing at the time. And my cousin is so funny. I think if he can remember this, that'll be great because he's big time now. Omari Salisbury, Converge Media. He was working with some of the rookies as they come into town, show them around. You know, he was connected. So he connected them. And one day she wasn't available. He was going to my mom's house getting his hair done at the time over in the Central area, that same house I grew up in Madrona. And yeah, one day she wasn't available and he knew I did hair. So he was like, "Can you ask your sister, will she do my hair?" And so I did. And from then on, I did it every week. Like, and that was major back then.
Wow.
Because that was good money that I normally wouldn't have been able to. That was like a week's worth of groceries back then, really. But that's when they got interviewed after the game. So, you know, they want a different style. And I just got to be a creative. And he didn't care. He just sat down. Those are the best clients. They just want to be in your chair. Yes. And so, so I remember one week I took his tie and took the design from his tie and made a design in his braids. And so it was really fun. I enjoyed my 20s in Seattle, even though I was a mother of 3 and worked hard. You just have those alternative hours. So you fit in a little self-care, a little family time. But yeah, we just made all of our obligations fun. So the AAU tournaments out of town, those were the vacations, you know. That's the best I can do. Y'all get in the pool and have a good time and enjoy some of this Yakima weather. But no, it's been a ride.
Yeah. That's cup half full. I love it. All right, let's transition to fulfilled needs. So that's your styling company.
Yes.
We'll talk more about services, but first I'm curious about the name, where it came from.
You know, I've had it since I think I changed my DBA in 2004.
Okay.
And it's so genuine. It's face value. It's like it's what I really aim to do, and as long as you're fulfilling needs, my aunt, Dr. Anita Connell, put me on the spot one time when it came to what I wanted to do for a living. At first, I wanted to be a cop. And then I was like, no, that's not going to work. Then I wanted to be a dentist. And, I had to realize that you really can't turn away any patients when you're in that field. So, no, I wasn't comfortable with that. And then I said I wanted to be an interior decorator. And, she just said, now, is this something that somebody can do for themselves? Because that's not really what you want to pick. Is this something that's going to maintain your lifestyle? Because that's not something that you want to pick either. And is this something that's going to be the first thing to go, when money gets tight? People can clean their own house. They can go buy their own groceries. And it's nice to send in an order and it magically appear on your doorstep. But it really made me think about it. And so in my world of beauty and fashion and all the things that I touch, I want to fulfill needs. I even started offering another service, but it's still fulfilling somebody's need, and especially being a young, petite Black woman, I had a lot of needs. I needed fulfilled, right?
Right.
So I am my target customer. And I just kind of operated under FN styling because fulfilled needs was taken, as far as the Instagram handle and stuff like that. So, but I have the domain now. So fulfilledneeds.com is where people can learn more about me and some of the things that I do. But yeah, I was forward thinking way back then. It's funny to see somebody's handle now. Like, you didn't really think about that too much, huh? He's like sexy number 12. Nope. No, but yeah, that's
It's a beautiful
what I
name.
do.
Yeah,
It really
I
is.
like that a lot.
And it went from cop to dentist to interior decorator to stylist.
Yeah, by default. Like,
What do they all have in
where you
common?
landed.
what do they all have in common? I think they're all customer facing roles. Like,
They are
either
all
that.
service,
all helping
yeah,
others.
community service
For
in
sure.
some way.
Yeah, I'm a servant leader. That's for sure.
Yes, I
love
like
that.
it.
All right, tell us what you do.
Sure. So at the moment, I offer beauty, makeup, and fashion services for both the living and the deceased. So I have a clientele of folks that won't let me retire, that I love to beautify every now and then. I also work with a large population of those that face hair loss issues.
Okay.
So, I specialize in doing things that challenge me.
Wow.
So I can continually upgrade my skills and my people benefit directly from it. So I'm the secret hairstylist, even though I do public works. It's really nice to be at this point where you're asked to come and be a key stylist at the 50th anniversary of hip hop fashion show on the waterfront, or I did hair and makeup for all the commissioned artists that participated in the Jackson Place Apartments, the Vulcan property that replaced the Promenade 23 in my community. To do hair and makeup for all the Black artists that did installations there. Those are the type of projects that you want to be available for, right?
Yeah.
So you have to kind of be selective on what you can do with your time. And I'm kind of divided between all of the things that I do. Like, I just left the funeral home this morning. I mean, it's important to me to do all the things that I'm allowed to do, all the gifts. I want to use them all.
Wow.
So there's a complex beauty in getting to make someone beautiful for the last time. Talk about what that complexity means for you, or just kind of how you see that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm thankful to, I used to do so bad at funerals. It's crazy. I used to cry for hours. Now, we're talking about Big Mama's funeral. I cried for half a day. And I remember my mom calling and checking on me, like, "Are you okay?" And she still does around funerals. Um, but for me to just walk with it now, and feel honored, I have seen too many people that I know, taken too soon, but to be able to benefit the family and their children because I've grown up with them,
Mhm.
or, to do the child of one of my peers from growing up that doesn't even know that I'm working on their child, that means a lot to me, and I want to do my best. I'm really doing what I can in this space. I almost wish I could do like a scared straight something to help
Mhm.
shake up some of these kids that don't really realize tomorrow is not promised to you or
Mhm.
your
Absolutely.
parents. You know what I mean? So I've gotten way too good at doing bullet holes
Oh.
because this generation is pretty fearless,
Mhm.
when it comes to death. So I'm just honored to be in a position where I can bring awareness and also help make something better at the same time.
Yeah.
Most stylists wouldn't think about something like that.
Yeah, it's not a part of the industry a lot of people consider, And I was asked, well, I was told that I was going to be the one to work on, my godmother and my aunt. They're both still doing the Lord's work on earth, but I
Good.
have, done my grandmother. I've done several aunties,
Is that what
um,
led to the idea?
cousins. Yeah, I went and got formal training, how to do mortuary airbrush makeup in California, and was able to put my skills to work when asked by someone who lost their daughter
Mm.
way too soon. Um, yeah, it helped me see it wasn't that hard, but oh, it is hard when you know them.
Right.
It really is, because
Oh,
I find myself not wanting to leave,
I can't
because it's
imagine.
like if I walk away, that's it,
Right.
but I do the best that I can. I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to that.
I bet.
But yeah, it's something to be able to walk away from, to drive away from, and to be able to text your child and be like, "I love you," just
Mhm.
because.
Is that something people should be thinking about? Or I mean, I've never thought about it. I mean, and
Yeah.
I don't know how many circles I've got left.
Well, you can't live in fear. That's number one. I mean, I had to let go of that, because that what quality of life is that? You can't take your kids with you. You can't walk around in fear because someone could, in the blink of an eye, take away the decades of work you put into your child. I see it all the time.
Wow.
So, no, you shouldn't think about death.
Mm.
You should think about life and how you're going to live it.
That's better.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. Should we shift to urban impact?
Why not?
All right. So you're involved in a number of things, including working at Urban Impact.
Yes.
Um, the stated mission there is to break the cycle of generational poverty
Hmm.
and bring about a world where everyone is engaged and thriving in community.
Hmm.
I was looking a little bit at the website and the
Okay.
organization, but talk to us just generally about Urban Impact.
Urban Impact saved my life.
Okay.
It really did. And it's so funny because we were reflecting this morning in our meeting with my team. I work in the economic development department. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the pillars that we have to help break that cycle, is investing directly in the community, building up business owners to create jobs and build the opportunity for generational wealth. So we were talking about it because, like I said, my birthday is on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple years back, I was in the program that I now manage. I wanted to be a part of the pitch competition to better develop my skills at pitching my enterprise. And so I also had the opportunity, because I had went back to school, to speak on a panel of women talking about women in the built environment. And I was just like, man, how many opportunities do you get like that? So I withdrew from the program, but the person that was running it back then just offered the support and said, you'll always be a part of the Urban Impact family. And that was amazing. And then he ended up recruiting me. He said, are you by chance interested? And I really was. I had done enough in the space of helping develop the workforce at Molly
Mm-hmm.
Moon's. I was very happy with the success of the shop, and it was coming up on 5 years, and that is long enough playing store.
Yep.
Right.
As an adult, it's a great paying job though. It's a beautiful company, but um, because of the support that I had, I've never had a boss that supported me in what I do outside of making them
Mm-hmm.
money. And Molly actually is one of the judges for our pitch competition. So she supports Urban Impact in
Mm-hmm.
their efforts
That's great.
too. So, I mean, I say it saved my life because I was at a transition where I really didn't know how I wanted to move about, and working at Urban Impact means that you're working for a faith-based organization. So, technically, I'm working for Jesus right
There you
now.
go.
So I really enjoy this lifestyle of mine. And it's amazing to have somebody pray for you. Like I got hit, I got T-boned and went to work and my team prayed for me. And I was like, wow, I could have really been down and the whole domino stack goes if I go.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
that's not the goal. I'm not done.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm able to grow and benefit from learning more and sharing more. And it's just full circle. I get to benefit from helping my friends create legacy businesses and make sure they have the tools or the resources that they need to take their business to the next level if that's what they choose to do.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are just fine with their side hustle and living the life that they want, so I'm thankful to be able to work with young people and old, trying to figure out what they want to do before they waste their time
Mm-hmm.
chasing their tail. And so Urban Impact gives me the opportunity to just be myself and do the good work that I'm
Mm-hmm.
already doing.
That sounds so fulfilling to help people find their thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Urban Impact fulfilled your needs.
It did.
yeah, but I'm just imagining.
It did. It's so funny because life is just so full circle for me being here in Seattle. The people that run that organization are so connected to the generation before me. So I'm able to meet the people that have put in the work for decades to make sure we have these institutions and resources. So I get to take the baton and take it to the next
Mm-hmm.
level.
Wow.
So cool.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm jealous of that. That's I really am. Helping people find. How many people come and say, well, how long are you going to do that? Or,
Yeah.
what are you going to do after? When are you going to retire? It's
Yeah.
like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I do this for free.
Yeah.
And to help people find that,
Mm-hmm.
how satisfying.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've been working on this particular. He's the only guy that's in our cohort right now for our pitch competition. I've been working on him for like 2-3 years.
Wow.
Like you need to come and get some formal training because we meet via Zoom. It's no excuse. Like we want you to be engaged, of course, but camera on, ready to go is great. But in a real 2024 situation, you might be in the car picking up a kid or whatever the case may be. So I understand that. And so I think that's what makes it effortless. Is like if everybody had wraparound services at their job, we'd all we'd all be on our game. A little support goes a long way. So get out there.
And so you've been working with Africa Town Center for Education and Innovation for a decade. What led you to start doing that?
Ooh, well, I am a product of my environment. And because of the fact that I had children in Seattle public schools, I saw a lot of room for improvement, based on my personal experience going through the public education system, and the declining test scores that,
Mm.
we could not ignore. And a group of business owners in the community, parents, advocates, people currently going for office positions politically, tried to rally and see what we could do. So I think a lot of things have been birthed out of that organization. It's amazing to look and see what we've actually accomplished because we have places and spaces that we can direct people to now. And that was the
That's
goal,
huge. Yeah. Yeah.
to actually occupy spaces. And that's one of the things that I learned growing up here is if you don't feel you're welcome somewhere, you're not going to go. And this
Right.
generation is even harder to relate to because they're totally okay being by themselves.
Yeah. They don't want to go places they are welcome.
They're like, oh, family gathering, I'll pass.
Yeah.
I'll stay home. But yeah, I felt comfortable going to every corner of Seattle growing up here, by choice.
Right.
I wanted to go and cheer for the team in South Seattle because I didn't want to cheer for the team in my neighborhood. They were wearing brown. I didn't want to wear brown, so I had Miss Jones, rest her soul, from
So fashion is deciding which team.
well, as a youngster, plus is who like I said, Miss Jones, who was over at Washington Middle School for decades and impacted so many lives, was the cheer coach, and she was my mom's teacher. So, you go where you have support. So she would pick us up and take us. And so that's how I got to know a lot of the girls that grew up in South Seattle, and the fact that I was bused to school in the North End, made me feel like, well, this is my city too. Northgate, UW, all the different programs that I was able to take advantage of at the different institutions all over the city. Absolutely. Why not me?
Do you think are you part of the minority with that outlook?
Oh, well, see, you asked why I said there are a lot of people like me. I don't know how optimistic other folks are, but that's kind of my fuel.
Well, I love how you said you saw a lot of opportunity for those schools to change and improve, and there was a smile on your face the entire time you said that.
Yeah, there still is. It's sad, but our numbers are like the same as 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was on the Africa Town Center Facebook, and there was something about the Black graduation and how that's impacted people. Tell me what you think the outcome of that is.
Yeah, well, I can tell you what my goal and my purpose in that. You want people to feel like they have the support of the community behind them as they transition, right? You want people to know that, okay, everybody was on me to graduate. Now that I've graduated, now what? Everybody's not going to get the guidance and the support along the way, right? To coach them to say, okay, well, maybe you need to focus your efforts on this, to do this and this. Maybe work on just looking at scholarships, one class per week, or, there has to be strategy to get all the resources that are out there. So I wanted to make sure people felt that they could go to Sister Tarasha or Brother Y. King. You need a reference, hit us up. You need recommendations. You need to practice interviews. Like, you need an elder in the community. You need to learn more about your history. We are here collectively. And in that event, that's what we do. So I tried to bring back a recent graduate to kind of speak to, how life has been lifing for them since they went to college, and another young person, and just build them up and start their tool belt at least. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to grow into the areas that interest you. And of course, that's our opportunity to say, well, I don't have anything going on. Well, now guess what? We have institutions where we can get you activated. Help. Yeah. We have the William Gross Center where you can work on the tech side if that's what interests you. And we're right now, reassessing how we can support the greater Seattle area. Our motivation originally was community engagement, family engagement, and then being a resource for the Black educators in the district. You know, sometimes you just don't know how to relate to our kids, and that's just a fact. So if you feel you have a resource, then hey, we're all going towards progress. That's the goal.
So the shift is more towards the end user, to the kids, or as opposed to the
Yeah.
educators.
Well, it's the three pillars. So the Seattle Public Schools has changed so much, you know, with the demographics forcing buildings closed and children to be displaced and all the things. It just takes a bigger lens and not just one on the budget. You know, it's the people portion of it. You know, what
Right.
about the grandparents that are raising their grandkids and totally feel out of touch with reality? You know, just imagine all the people that struggled pivoting to digital learning during COVID. You know, I was just so thankful I had kids when I did. I was like, I don't have anybody to teach anything to. They were getting their own unemployment checks.
No, my last two were in high school during that, and
Woo.
it is a massive change.
Wow.
Yeah,
During
COVID.
Yeah, that's a hard one because, ain't nothing after prom and all the things. That's what you look forward to.
Right.
And people didn't even have that
Nope.
experience or
Yeah.
graduation itself. So that's what we did with Black graduation. For anybody that wanted to be celebrated, you know, they could nominate their student, or a teacher, a counselor could nominate a student. And, you know, we're like, bring your people, you know, like
I love
5
that.
people max, you know, is encouraged. But yeah, trade school, high school, we've recognized kindergarten and
Saw that. Wow.
8th grade, because it is important. Like, getting through the comprehensive high school model is not easy when it's proven to be biased and not work for you.
Right.
So, you know, I struggled to get through it myself, only because of the politics back then. I saw the favoritism. I'm working just as hard as her, but she's your TA and she gets to skip and do all the things, and that didn't work for me. But even as a child, you know, I always advocated for myself and for just a better outcome for the whole unit. So yeah, that's how I ended up thinking I was grown.
Wow.
And starting a family and moving out. I was living in my own place when I graduated from high school with a 1-year-old in the audience.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. Talk about you don't have to get up and go to school. You living by yourself. So no, it was a good time. Good time.
All right. Upcoming?
Yep.
Okay, so upcoming, I just actually added another service to fulfill needs. So
Okay.
I'm actually offering, I have a partnership with U-Haul as a dealership. So at my locations in Renton and Tukwila, you can now pick up a U-Haul truck if you need it. And if you need some help getting stuff moved, I can probably fulfill those needs too.
Wow.
What?
I mean,
So tell us how that fits.
Those are just all the things on my list. Like, being a petite woman, you know how hard it is to get a couch moved when you find a good
Yes,
deal. You know
I
what I
do.
mean?
It's not easy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm trying to be a mover and a shaker. So I'm truly trying to make sure people are taken care of that have been in my situation before. And a door opened up for it to be another stream of income. And that is the goal, to be able to move around and visit my grandson quarterly.
I
So
love that.
we're activating that. Yeah. And so I am going to be taking new clients as well. So people can fill out an inquiry on my website. You know, it's important to make sure they're a good fit and vice versa. But just offering services to the public, to the greater public, to Seattle. So I offer educational opportunities, you know, for styles that I provide. If your stylist doesn't know how to do them, we can set up a one-on-one.
Right.
If you need better education doing your own kids' hair, you can set up one-on-one training for that too. And that is the business that I want to be known as being the founder of, because that is something that can get passed on. Like, every young person that goes away to college, I try and encourage them, try and braid this mannequin while I do your hair. so they can gain the skill set to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody needs their hair done, especially when they're away from their home city. So I'm always thinking business. I used to get on my friends' nerves when we were
that's
little.
cool.
They're like, will you turn that off?
It's so true. Like, especially when you leave, like, let's say for college or just you leave home for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Most people I know, my girlfriends, didn't get their hair done until they went back home
Yeah.
on Thanksgiving break or Christmas,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Because you're like, well, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know anyone here. I don't trust anyone here. Maybe I'm not comfortable enough to go find somebody here. So I'll just wait
Mm-hmm.
until I go back. So that's
Oh,
wise.
that
It's
struggle
quite
life.
wise. Uh-huh.
Yep. It doesn't have to be though. So
No.
if I can educate a whole generation, everybody be able to take care of everyone and pay it forward,
Mhm. All right. Let's see. Do.
What is Umoja Fest? Could I say that right?
Moja Fest.
Okay.
I think it sounds the same.
Umoja
Umoja is a
Umoja.
African principle. So that's one of the days of Kwanzaa, and it stands for unity. So, the last generation that would put on the Pan-African Community Festival kind of dismantled. So we stepped up and made it what it is today, and it's continuing to grow. It's our Unity Festival that we host every year, the first weekend of August. It's actually a Seafair sanctioned event. So, it's Blue Angels flying in the air, it's vendors as far as the eye can see, it's local artists. We bring a headliner out. We have church in the park on Sundays. It's a
Cool.
day to come back to the city and support the Black community for sure. It's a good turnout. And we don't have any drama. So keep the drama if you
If
Where
you
does
have
that
it,
happen?
keep it.
Junkins Park.
Okay.
Yeah, right in the heart of the
Judkins.
Central District. Yeah,
During
we have
Seafair weekend.
we have a parade, everything. Yeah. It used to be a really big thing. So we're just trying to make sure that the next generation still has that opportunity to showcase their drill teams and groups and clubs. And I look forward to seeing the all city band coming down the street, and the different people, the mayor and councilmen. See the businesses there on the corners that are still going. It's awesome.
How
And
many
you-
years have you been doing it?
Oh, I have worn so many hats doing the Emoji Fest. It's crazy. I would say 11.
Oh, okay.
I've been the logistics coordinator for the last few years, and that's only because White King called me and was like, Mara, you busy? Of course I'm busy. What do you need?
Yes, and what's up?
We just need somebody to tighten up all the okay. So, I enjoy opportunities like that, to be the liaison between the city and the signs and DOT and the armed officers that they require
Yeah.
you to have. Like, it's really
Wow.
important to know what's required to put on an event in a major city. So, like I said, I like to challenge myself.
Mhm.
But no, I've been the vendor coordinator, I've been the parade coordinator, I've been the fashion show coordinator. I also do hair and makeup for the fashion show, and on top of being the logistics coordinator. So we have a best of both worlds stage that does African fashions, and then we have another main stage, a kids stage. They have their own thing and
Mhm.
activities going on with the bouncy houses, and it's just awesome. You smell barbecue all in the park.
Mhm.
So
you're clearly very giving.
yes,
I suspect you're very competitive.
yeah. I don't overly like to win, but I do. I like to complete tasks and get praise. Yes.
Interesting.
Same.
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
pretty competitive too,
Yeah.
Kenneth.
Don't ask me
Sometimes.
to race, but I don't do that.
100 meter? Or?
Yeah, no, I couldn't even get to the finish line without passing out and high school. Okay.
Oh, so then if we raced, the only cool thing about it would be interesting because it wouldn't be over fast.
Okay.
I know
towards
what
the
I'm talking
end.
about. I would be at the finish line in 10 seconds. Ah.
Uh,
Yep.
so when it's all said and done and you look back on your life, what is the impact that you envision having made?
Ooh. Well, it's funny because when I went back to school and I started seeing the politics behind going electric and all the policy changing and them demanding you to not use gas when you build new construction and just how the world is shaping itself without any ask from me or you.
Right.
I was just like, I should be the sustainable sister. Just to lead by example and show people how you can maintain a great quality of life without wasting your life. So it applies to not only the built environment by living sustainably, but I really didn't get a chance to really practice self-care until I was in my 30s. And that is because of choices that I made early on
Right.
in life. However, I don't want anybody else to have to wait till their 30s. So change your ways. When you know better, do better. So I can only be a living example of that, and I'm okay with that.
That would be something to be proud of.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, last question.
Okay.
So this show is all about advocating for people making a difference, like you. Who do you think in our community doesn't get enough credit for the work that they're doing now?
Ooh. Let's see. You know, it's so easy for me to lift her up, and I'm not sure how many platforms that she has, but I will say, my beauty school professor, Miss Patricia Valentine, she is everything. And I have many mentors. There's many people in the community that have built into me to be the way that I am today, that believed in me and protected me. But she just called me last week and asked me if she could interview me. And they're trying to do a survey from the Department of Ecology to see the long-term of health benefits and effects of beauticians.
Hmm.
And it's just like, this woman is retired and she's still putting in the good
Oh,
work.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, she's responsible for several of the beauticians in the Seattle area being successful just because she was the example. And for her to text me and tell me how proud she is of me, that it's actually quite amazing. She knew my grandmother. So, I mean, it runs deep
Yeah.
when genuine love is shown to you. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know what she's doing these days. Her daughter has done really well in the beauty industry too, and then transitioned into financial services. So now she's trying to help beauticians plan their exit strategy and live their dream life. And she's just her daughter's biggest cheerleader. I can see her on LinkedIn commenting on her posts and stuff, and that to me is the goal.
Yes.
You've done your job. And
Mm.
at the hair show of one of the business owners that I work with, Aisha, it's the annual event that she supports volunteers. And I just told her, I said, you know what? I don't know if you knew this, but I recently worked on our other professor that would come and substitute at the funeral home. And she said, it was Miss Bynum. And she said, you did a great job. She said she lived an amazing life. We're talking about 91. Like, yes,
Wow.
this is how you get there, by following the example of people that give you life, that breathe love into you. And that's what I want to be highlighted and showcased, because it really makes a difference. Like, for her to believe in me and support me from 1998 until now is priceless.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, based on what you're doing now, I feel like someone's going to say that about you in about 40 years.
No
No doubt. I
Yeah.
have no doubt.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did we forget to ask about anything, or is there anything else you wanted to highlight or spotlight?
Nope.
Okay.
That was it.
That was fun. Thank
Thank
you.
It really
you.
was.
Right.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I love learning
I
about
wish
you.
everybody could get a snapshot into Seattle like I did, because
Mm-hmm.
you'd appreciate it much, much more now.
Yeah, for sure.